Wes Huber, fantasypoints.com. Let's talk about Rachaad White. So this is a kid whose career really didn't take off early until the 2016, his age 17 season. He had some injuries the year prior, and so it wasn't until his final year of high school that he really took off and put up over 1,300 yards rushing, 770 yards receiving, with 38 receptions. But it wasn't really enough. 22 touchdowns, but it wasn't enough to draw a lot of attention. So we ended up going to Division II University in Nebraska at Kearney. He sat out that year, redshirt. Then he transferred over to Mount San Antonio College, where he paid his own tuition. He was there for 2 years. His big season there, 2019, he was 20, 1,200 yards receiving. He caught another 25 balls. He transfers over to Arizona State, and that's where he really cemented his status for the player that we see now. And he posted 452 yards after the catch last year, which was the fourth most in the FBS by a running back. So at the combine, I met this kid. He just brewing intelligence. Very, very calm and just seems like a really good kid. Measured it in the 80th percentile, big oven mitt, 71st percentile hands. Then he went out and posted a 63rd percentile 40, 70th percentile vertical, 73rd broad. I mean, just love everything he did at the combine. So let's be clear here. He carried the ASU offense on his shoulders last season. They have Chip Trainium, a guy another running back on the roster. He just transferred over to Ohio State. He was one of the highest recruited players that Arizona State's ever had, and he was reverted to basically a backup role behind White. So for a taller back, Rachaad, he avoids running high, which I love that. He anticipates contact very well. He utilizes his vision over wiggle, and he has these subtle speed shifts that he uses to catch defenders off guard. He had, like I said, the explosive vertical and broad jump measurements. Those are visible when he's hurdling defenders. I mean, he's essentially an embarrassing hurdle waiting to happen for defenders trying to tackle him low. At least 10 forced missed tackles on successful hurdles in his last season at Arizona State. He has some outstanding patience when running behind pull blockers. And he puts a lot of trust into that blocking. He runs with his eyes focused on his available gaps and on closing safeties. He takes advantage of any mistakes in gap integrity, and he uses his eyes to manipulate defenders into abandoning gaps so that he can attack. And that might be his best trait, is manipulating defenders out of their gaps on those outside in one cuts. And that's and the blocking scheme that he did, his best work was inside zone. He also did well with counter as well. So we want to see him get into both of those in the NFL, get into a system where he can tap into those. He was blessed with a full variety of blocking schemes and uh, mesh point considerations with read option, RPO. He doesn't have the thickness of a Brees Hall, but he does offer better balance. It didn't really hit his rushing size stride until week 5. So, that was a little disappointing. And he's not the type of back that sets out to deliver violence. He's not a power back despite his size. He may not be and likely isn't going to be the type of back that his future team is going to want to utilize at the goal line. However, we flip the focus to White catching the ball, and we see the full picture come into view. He may not be the most impressive running back in this class on the ground. His receiving ability truly sets him apart. He showcases more wiggle as a receiver than he does as a runner. A natural feel for catching the ball, sharp route running technique. You just can't put a linebacker in coverage over him. And I mean, he's the kind of guy that you can line up in the slot, and he's going to be effective. I saw a lot of shades of Alexander Madison in his game, but I think the overall comp that I came away with, based factoring his size, his athleticism tape, his collegiate production, was Kenyon Drake.